On one hand, the Pelicans have been pretty freaking good, especially on offense. They've got two of the most dynamic, versatile scorers in the NBA, Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, and both of them are so young with so much room to grow. They aren't even close to their peaks, and yet they've led the Pelicans to a top 10 offense for most of the season. On the other hand, their defense is atrocious. They've been consistently underwhelming at that end, maintaining a bottom 5 defensive rating throughout the year, and it doesn't look like anything's gonna change. Initially, Stan Van Gundy was brought on to fix those problems. In fact, throughout his NBA career, he coached 8 different teams to a top 10 defense, many of which were in Orlando with Dwight. He even had this whole defensive philosophy when he first signed on as the coach. These points of emphasis included limiting turnovers so your opponents can't run out in transition, don't give up points in the paint, and pressure the ball on the perimeter without fouling. Those were the things Van Gundy focused on, but there's been a varying degree of success. My name's Andy, and today let's take a look at some serious problems with the New Orleans Pelicans. If they don't fix them, they won't ever be a competent playoff team. What's holding them back? Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. Apparently, over 60% of my viewers aren't. But hey, if you like the content, drop a sub or a like, and thank you so much for the support. So, there was a game in mid-April against the New York Knicks. It was a game that went into overtime, but at the end of this game, we saw the epitome of every single problem that plagued the Pelicans for months. The team was up 3 with less than 8 seconds left. All they had to do was get one last stop. According to Van Gundy, the plan was simple. The plan was to foul Derrick Rose to make him take 2 free throws, so the Knicks won't even get off a 3-point attempt. Instead, this is what happened. What in the world is that? The Pelicans literally gave Rose a wide open lane to drive. Not a single defender was in the paint, and poor Bledsoe, the guy was once known as a gritty, hounding defender, but now he can barely stay in front of anyone, even a washed-up Derrick Rose. So Rose drives down the open lane. He draws Lonzo Ball from the corner. Lonzo should have stayed there to prevent the 3. But he didn't. He left his man. He gave Reggie Bullock just enough space, so Rose kicks it out to him, and he hit the game-tying shot to send it into overtime. Everything that could have went wrong, went wrong. And of course, Van Gundy was absolutely flabbergasted. The team could not have defended this play any worse than they did. Then, in overtime, they proceeded to allow the Knicks to score 19 points in 5 minutes. This included a ton of open shots. Just look at this horrendous defense. Like 2 or 3 guys just wide open. It's like they don't even care. After the game, Van Gundy tore his team a new ass. In regards to the final play of regulation, he stated, "We screwed up that entire play. It wasn't just Ball. There were 2 mistakes on that play. They know what they are. We deserve to lose. When you do that, you deserve to lose. It's not like somebody threw in a tough one. We deserve to lose. I don't care if you're a senior in high school. You can execute what we were supposed to be doing with 7.8 seconds left to go. No excuse whatsoever." Ouch. This has been the story of the season for the Pelicans. But other times, they don't even look like they're trying. Or maybe they are trying, but they just don't get it. For the most part, they're a pretty young team. Their 3 core players are in their early 20s. But their defense actually has gotten substantially worse compared to the previous year. The loss of Drew Holiday and Derek Favors certainly did not help. Now, let's take a deeper dive into the numbers. How has their lackadaisical defense reflected in the stats? It's very clear. Remember how Van Gundy stressed the importance of defending the paint? They haven't done that. They're the 3rd worst team in the league when it comes to defending shots within 6 feet of the rim, allowing opponents to hit over 64% of their shots there. They're the 5th worst team in defending shots within 10 feet of the rim, allowing 60% from this area. And of course, they're the 3rd worst at defending the 3, allowing opponents to hit 38% of them. Basically, in every area of the floor, the Pelicans are doing a poor job. Interestingly enough, they actually contest more shots than most other teams. They're near the top when contesting the most shots per game, but opponents are still killing them. Typically, if you contest more shots, you should hold opponents to a lower percentage, but that hasn't been the case for the Pelicans. The reason for this is because they're always a step or two behind, so even if it counts as a quote contested shot, their opponents still have some breathing room. The Pelicans aren't getting there on time. In a Forbes article by Christopher Dodson, he explained this phenomenon. The Pelicans are contesting shots, but they are a little slow or a little late on most occasions. The team is in the area, but the intensity and urgency are not enough to affect the shot. As the team learns to play instinctively instead of thinking about the correct rotation, perhaps those shots start to rim out and become Pelicans rebounds. This was a pretty accurate explanation of what's been going on. They've got the right idea, they're just not executing fast enough. This starts with their franchise players, Williamson and Ingram. There's no doubt that both of them are already elite offensive players, but at times, they look completely lost on defense. However, it's not just them, it's a total team dilemma, and frankly, the effort has not been there at all. Theoretically, they should be much better than they actually are. Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe have a reputation for being great defenders, but both of them aren't living up to that reputation. I mentioned earlier how the Pelicans are giving up an absurd amount of points in the paint. Adams is getting abused in the pick and roll. He's always been more of a traditional defensive big man, as in he could guard bigger guys trying to post him up, but he's not fast and he's constantly getting roasted by any smaller player. According to the numbers, Adams is giving up 1.4 points per pick and roll. That ranks him as the worst pick and roll defender in the entire league, not just at the center position, but among all players. Van Gundy has even benched him frequently at the end of games because he doesn't trust Adams to stay on the floor or defend at a competent level, preferring to go small with Zion at the 5. Even so, they still get picked apart. Eric Bledsoe is, in my opinion, the most confusing player on this team. In the past 2 years, he made the all-defensive teams, including first-team all-defense in 2019. But when you watch him on the Pelicans, he's getting exposed. Even mediocre players can easily blow past him, which makes me wonder if the Bucks were covering his flaws all along. The Bucks' team defense was so good that it probably covered up Bledsoe's individual flaws, and that he's always been an overrated defender. It also doesn't help that both Adams and Bledsoe are getting paid an exorbitant amount of cash until 2023. 2 of their top 3 highest paid players on the roster. Both of them were brought here in the first place to help the team's defense, but they haven't done so at all. This is quite problematic, as you can guess. It limits the Pelicans' ability to sign other free agents. They've got very few options in the foreseeable future. I mean, they're not terrible players. They're just eating up way too much space, salary-wise. I mentioned earlier that the team is contesting a staggering number of shots, so it seems that they kinda know what to do. They know where they should be. It's just the little things that need to get better. Faster and more crisp rotations, better callouts on defense, more communication, mostly just a better effort all around. At least for now, Zion and Ingram get the benefit of the doubt, as they're still young. But the truth is, Zion is undersized and not as fast laterally as we thought he'd be, and Ingram is still a walking telephone pole. You could say they have the tools to be great defenders, but there's still a long way to go. Also, the backcourt of Bledsoe and Ball is, Ball's got the size to defend the two, but neither of them are actual shooting guards. They can't score at will, nor are they good at getting to the free throw line. These are things you want out of your shooting guard. Generally speaking, offense is not the primary concern. They do have JJ Redick and Josh Hart to fill in the gaps, but they don't have a real shooting guard. Somebody who isn't one-dimensional. It's unfortunate because it's doubtful they can even fill in their weaknesses. Their salary situation is awful. Anyway, that's all folks. The Pelicans have been probably around where we expected them to be. They won't make the playoffs, but their young guys have made drastic improvements and they're gonna look real spooky in the next few years. The issues are everything I mentioned in this video. Their cap issues are not good, a couple of vets they signed are not living up to what they're supposed to do, and they desperately need to reevaluate their defense and the entire roster. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the New Orleans Pelicans. Where do you see them in the near future? Do you see them being a playoff team soon? A year from now? 2 years from now? What players available in free agency could help this team? Cause they could sure use a lot of it. Let me know in the comments. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.